Good, thank you. Morning, sir. Well, I was, so I got this to swing on. What a leg.
Oh, no. Because then we don't have to sit around and wait.
Okay. Well, we're going to do the pledge of allegiance first. Not have to do a second. So whenever we're ready, let's just use the ready. What do you use this? Do the line, you know, yeah, it takes a while to use it.
We got a 3-inch propeller too.
What?
This is Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to call the local planning agency meeting of the town's office to order. Please rise and pledge the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You call the roll, please.
Yes. Commissioner White. Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthline. Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
Mayor Morgan.
Here.
Let the record show that also present are the Assistant Town Attorney, Trey Navarro, and the Town Manager, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you very much. We are being asked to amend the coastal management element into our comprehensive plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. You are meeting as the local planning agency for the town of Gulfstream. And in that role, you will make a decision as to whether to recommend this forward to yourself as town commissioners. So what we have here, as the mayor said, this is a town-initiated request to amend our coastal management element in the town's comprehensive land use plan. In 2015, the Florida legislature amended the requirements for local governments to include within the coastal management elements of their comprehensive plan. The includes development and redevelopment principles, strategies, and engineering solutions that reduce the flood risk in coastal areas, which results from high tide events, storm surge, flash floods, stormwater runoff, and the related impacts of sea level rise. There's a lot I can say about this, but I don't know how in-depth you want me to get. And you have the ordinance before you as the local planning agency, but the attachment to that ordinance, which really gets into the meat of these amendments, is in your commission packet. So I don't know if you've had a chance to go through that. I will just briefly touch on these. The amended regulations also state that the intent of the legislature that local government comprehensive plans restrict development activities where such activities would damage or destroy coastal resources, and that such plans protect human life and limit public expenditures in areas that are subject to destruction by natural disasters. To address future sea level change, local comprehensive plans are required to address development and redevelopment in the coastal area, including a redevelopment component outlining the principles to be used in eliminating inappropriate uses or unsafe development in coastal areas. So these updates are required to include 6 components, and 2 of those 6 are existing comprehensive land use plan, and the coastal element already addresses them. And so there were some additions and or amendments to 4 areas in the plan. They're really very minor, and I can go through each one if you'd like for me to do that. It would be very brief.
I don't think you need to. We've been provided with it. Anybody have any questions? If not, let's move on to the ordinance. Any questions on the ordinance itself?
I will say, Mayor, that we did hire our planner, Mr. Marty Minor, with Urban Design Studio to accomplish this for us. He also did Ocean Ridges and some other communities.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dunn. Ms. Taylor?
An ordinance of Town Commission in Town of Gulfstream in Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the coastal management element of the town's adopted comprehensive plan as set forth herein and attached hereto, providing for severability, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date.
Ordinance number 20/6 has been read. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
We would be recommending it.
Motion to recommend ordinance 20-6 to be submitted to the Town Commission and the Town of Gulfstream for approval.
We've got a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Good enough, Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner White? Yes. Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein? Yes. Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Any comments from the public? If not, meeting's adjourned. Let's move that forward then. Sorry, we're ready. All right, let's call the commission meeting to order. Ms. Taylor, let's call the roll, please.
Yes. Commissioner White? Vice Mayor Stanley?
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein? Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Here.
And also present are the Assistant Town Attorney, Mr. Nazaro, the Town Manager, Mr. Dunham, the Police Chief, Chief Allen, and myself.
Thank you very much. We've been presented with the minutes from our meeting in December 8th. Are there any comments, changes, questions? If not, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of December 8th.
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner White? Yes. Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Okay, we do have a change to the agenda, I believe, Mr. Chairman. Under remotion of 9B on the mitigate sound location, is that correct?
Yes, we're moving that from the agenda today. We found what we thought was a feedback bid, further review of the actual bid and approval by the St. Lucie West Utility District. We found that it wasn't really apples to apples, and more like apples to oranges. And so, and that's the reason that we're moving it today. It's probably something that will end up,
Okay, very good. Everything else on the agenda is fine, I believe. All right, next meeting, February 12th at 9 a.m. for anyone who wishes to attend. Anyone from the public wishes to comment? If not, Mr. Dunn, could you update us beginning with the A1A water main report?
yes, that's very simple. It's done.
I'd like to hear.
Yes, and it's really done on time. Really pleased with the construction. I've gotten so many nice comments about how good it looks. I mean, the actual paving part of it. And I did go to a final walkthrough with the DOT, the contractor, and I think really the only thing that was missing were a few of those reflectors that you see on the double yellow lines there, and the DOT would not approve it until those were replaced. And but as you know, we're still kind of getting into the next item, if that's okay.
That's one that's not complete.
That one, if you haven't noticed, is not complete. But we are in the process of doing that with AT&T and Wilco. You've probably seen Wilco equipment out here, and so they have worked on old school Oleander, and now they're working on Bermuda over here. You might see them right now.
No, not here today.
Not here today? Okay. And then they have the 6 conduits under A1A that they need to do. Yesterday I met with Wilco, the DOT, and we walked, getting my exercise, we walked to A1A again where those 6 locations are. AT&T has identified that they need the conduit. There's room on 4 of them for them to get, it's a small machine, but with all the landscaping and vegetation and trying to keep from damaging that, it's hard to get that thing placed because they're going to have to go under the existing water main, which the top of it is at 36 inches, and so Wilco was wanting to put it at 24 inches, and the DOT won't let them do that. So they're going to have to go under. And so they're going to need more room for the machine in the riser to move back because they've got to go deeper. So there's two locations that they can get the machine in, but it's at an angle, and the DOT will not let you put a conduit at an angle under. And so it's got to be straight across. So the next step is I'm going to be meeting with the AT&T, Wilco, go out there where in one case we're going to have to go behind the fence at the school, but it's up there by the parking lot and those 2 houses and the playground. We get permission to do that, but they got to back that far to do it. It's going to go straight across on a couple of the crossings, and then AT&T somehow going to need to get it from there to the point it needs to be. So if we end up having to do that, our goal, of course, is to get it done. So we'll work that out in the field. But that's where we're at with that. I mean, we're getting close to the end of that. And working under our exhibit, we were successful. Ms. Mazzaro was successful in getting the existing DOT permit for the water main, which is owned by the town, extended for 45 days. or we'd be sitting around waiting for Wilco to get a permit to go under the road. So that saves a lot of time. So working under that permit and certainly would have done it in 45 days.
So while we have Wilco preparing to put this conduit, under A1A and in a couple other spots in town, spots that AT&T neglected to put on the engineering plan, so that it's been done originally. But we're doing that now. Is AT&T pulling lines?
They've done what they can until all these are finished.
So they've completed all lines being pulled except for where the conduit is actually being installed.
So we've been told.
And very good.
And on Comcast, I don't have an update. If you remember last month, they had, did they ever call you?
No, we're not conducting with the subcontractor.
Oh,
There's a data set. That's
Okay.
the response. My boss is handling it.
okay. All right. And is she doing okay?
I don't think he's had much traction, which isn't good for any of us.
Okay. You're not his boss, but
Anyway.
but anyway, so, and I've asked for an update to see how many people is it. So I'm guessing they have added more, hooked up more people. I am getting calls from people that are wanting to switch from AT&T to Comcast. And so, which is understandable, but, so I'm hooking them up with Comcast because then they've got to go put the line in the yard up to the house and digging it. So there are a number of people that are making the move. So,
Okay. Any questions? If not, let's get an update then on the road and drainage repair.
the report on that is that it is 99.9% complete. There's still a few of the pavers at the end of the driveway. Are those done?
We have to go out and double check the one that they did over at Stone Cross, because they're incorrect pages, but I pointed out them, but
Okay.
from the remaining pages that need to be done, I saw yesterday, they're all pretty much finished. We just
Okay.
expand some of the.
Yeah, and there's a few other issues. I mean, some of the grass that they put in, they really needed to cut out the dirt so that the grass would be at the same level as the existing grass. In other words, what they did was they just went out and put the sod down. And so there's a couple of places like that, but I want to report that I have seen myself a number of times large trucks using that extra foot and a half, or 2 feet, rather than going into the grass. And actually cars can go down the other side and not get into the grass. Now, I know it hasn't rained a lot lately, but for me, I think the running has been reduced. I mean, there are some, when large trucks for construction work come in there, sometimes they just can't see where the grass is. But I think for the most part, it's been successful.
I agree with that. I think it's fine.
I agree.
Yeah, and the good thing about it was that there wasn't a really large impact on any of the landscaping.
Yeah.
That's what's so much. I go through the town, and aesthetically looks the same, which is really what we wanted to try to achieve.
Well, like curbing or any of that stuff, that we didn't want access stuff. And starting to move the water a little bit too.
Yeah,
When we repave and re-level a little bit in a couple of years, it's really going to move the water.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's pretty much done.
I do think extended roller is a lot better than all the curving.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's much more
Yeah.
access, because the curving,
Yeah. I mean, we extended the flares,
yeah,
enlarged the flares.
it just looks natural.
And the one up there that's very noticeable is Middle Road, on both sides. We extended the flares, we corrected a dip in the road where it just held water, and that's why it was always wet there. So again, that was kind of a design build, and as we went up the road, we made a lot of decisions out in the field.
Anthony knows we were running for a lot of labor time, fixing rocks, with the reduce that dramatically.
Right.
I agree with you.
Very good. Okay.
Let's move on then.
Okay, so I'd like to kind of follow up with the King Tide Resiliency Assessment and briefly talk about the CIP. As you can see, the schedule I put in front of you is the one that exists now. And where we're at is, this is actually a planning year. Planning, design, permitting, and bidding out a project. And so, you know, since the, well, there were concerns raised, at least in my mind, and maybe some of you guys raised after Jeff Hiscock's presentation about the King Tide. And so the staff has met with Baxter and Woodman to discuss potential next steps in addressing the needs that were identified in that. And so looking at a schedule, I know the vice mayor and mayor brought up the fact that they would like for us in January to send out an update to our residents. And I think we've met with Rebecca, and I think we're prepared to do that. I just want to run this kind of schedule by you. So really, the rest of this calendar year, in fact, is a planning year for Baxter and Woodman, where they'll design, they'll plan, do assessments, and actually get bid documents ready for what we've got scheduled for. Actually, the fiscal year of 21-22, but I was speaking to the mayor yesterday that my plan is not to start any construction on anything as late as October, you know, or start a project in October. I mean, if they're done with the design and all that, I would rather start it in the spring. These projects did go, you know, creep into December a little. We're going to get a lot of complaints about it, but I'd rather not do that. I'd rather not start one heading into the Thanksgiving and the Christmas season. And so we really have a year for design and get the bid documents ready. That's what kind of made this one start a little later. This one really didn't start until June this year. So, and what I'd also like to do is roll into the planning and design for this year another element for potential construction addressing the drainage and the issues that were brought up by Mr. Hiscock at the last meeting. So, so the staff is recommending to move forward with a study analysis of the identified areas experiencing the majority of the roadway flooding brought up by Mr. Hiscock, primarily along Polo, Old School Road, and west of the Intercoastal Waterway along Banyan and along Palm Way and Gulfview. And I promise you, during the construction out here, many residents, as I was out in the field, that live west of Polo on these side streets, Banyan, Palm Way, you know, there's water that's held in front of your house there, and Gulfview in front of the old mayor's house. They're saying, okay, when you finish that, you're coming over here to do our roads. Well, I mean, obviously it weren't planned, you know, in the schedule, but they definitely need some work done on them. So the study that we're recommending will consist of identifying the low-lying areas relative to the intercoastal waterway levels, particularly the King Tide levels and low-lying areas with poor drainage recovery, review the capacity and the operation of the existing stormwater pump at Polo and Old School, and look for opportunities in drainage pipe and inlets to serve problem areas, and review the current drainage interconnect and service agreement that we have with the Little Club. if you remember, one of the last things that Mr. Hiscock said, you guys need a pond. And so, you know, that I've done that in Ocean Ridge. We, with the same contractors, we created a detention area on land that was given to the town, there at the corner of Woolbright and A1A. And so, don't know if there's the viability there for something that might include a pond or other, or more catch basins, but this would be a particular analysis of that I'd like for them to start on, and so that we can roll that into potential construction in 2022. And so I don't have a cost on this analysis. She said that, we just talked about this in the last week, 10 days, but it wouldn't be expensive. And as a matter of fact, is Rebecca in here? In discussing this with Rebecca Travis, and with the help of Commissioner Lyons, in our original cash management of this CIP, we built in 3% we built into the cost and the numbers that you see before you, 3% compounded inflation rate. To the expert can describe that, and so we think that the study, we hope that the study might even be, we could just roll it into the dollar amount that we have already in the plan. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca.
That is certainly accurate.
So, and again, I don't have the cost on it. If it's under $15,000, then I can go ahead and approve that. I just want you guys to, I just need kind of sign off on our idea. I mean, we're not really changing the plan except for including another element that's actually kind of related to our land use, our comprehensive plan, although it'd be something the town does. The amendments that we made won't cost the town anything. Those are all things that applicants now have to adhere to with our comprehensive land use plan amendments that we're looking at. So,
if I'll just interject, to summarize, the purpose of our CIP was to move slowly so that we could adapt to the changes that would occur. And our goal was, number one, to get the water lines replaced. The other, in conjunction with that, is to redo the roads to not only enlarge them, but to address the drainage issues that have plagued at least the core of the town for many, many years. We've taken a few steps in that regard, but at last commission meeting, Mr. Hitchcock from the engineering firm actually indicated that we would be limited in the amount and the velocity of water that we could discharge from the core. And so we had a meeting this week with Ms. Travis, who is going to look into some additional methods of addressing that water flow. And that is the detention pond, piping water to the little club, some swale, some variety of other issues that we can employ in addition to what we've already approved, and that is adding the new valves to our discharge into the intracoastal. So the hope is that this study, which really, in my opinion, will fall under the engineering analyses that we've already authorized for this year, will come back and give us some real advice on how to move forward with the project.
And how it can tie into the plans we already have. And so the mayor did mention the valves. I wouldn't like to pass this out to you. We are, Anthony's here, and we are working on that right now. I'm sorry, So, again, this was part of Mr. Hitchcock's presentation, but just to remind you guys, the ones that we're concentrating on now are the yellow, red, there's a green in here, and so we're getting already got some pricing on it for the equipment. For the ones that Baxter Woodman is recommending that we do now. And then we have others that, they're saying are more long-term. So, Anthony, you've met with
Ferguson. I spoke with him throughout this week, and then yesterday we had a meeting, and I showed him the actual outfall that we suggest that we take care of immediately. We came to 7 of them, including the pump station that we had on Polo and Old School. That one is requiring a different style of check valve, which is a high pressure check valve, which allows a higher flow and a pressure to be applied to it to escape out into the intercoastal as opposed to a standard check valve, because it has the pump on it to push the water out as opposed to gravity fed itself. So he gave me a price of just the material, which ended up coming up to about $58,000. So, and that's just
About 58,000?
Yes.
Yeah, for the 7 check valves, and that's if we purchase them directly. Then,
No, that would be them getting them from Wausau, because that's the company that would be the inexpensive check out.
oh, we can't use a distributor, or is it a contractor? I couldn't hear.
Well, he gave me a piggyback price off of all these cameras that they already did, so I can price here every day.
Yeah, so here it is.
Okay.
So, we did have a contract that we're going to be looking at for potential piggybacking off that. That price is actually lower than I thought it would be. Yeah, I just wanted to bring you up to speed on what we're doing with that, because you guys have already really told us to go with it on that. So, I'm really, if there's any questions,
And what will be involved then in engaging a contractor to install those valves?
so does Ferguson actually do that?
No, they have a gentleman that they'll be able to reach out to for us in regards to possibly getting a bid on it. But before we do any of that, we still need to get an analysis on the actual piping, where they're going to be going in, the specifications, the actual specs of the actual size of the pipe, and the conditions before I can suggest ordering anything. But once we order it, we buy it.
Who's going to make that determination?
I would have to get a contractor to come on and actually take a look at each individual outfall, case by case, and see what the situation is.
Because the pipes are not all the same.
But some are corrugated too, right?
Well, some are corrugated and some are concrete, but I'm not familiar with exactly all of them because there's very few forces.
But the test valve, I mean, if it's a corrugated pipe, isn't there a
Case that they can put around it.
yeah, I mean, so they address, catch valves.
Baxter, when you're done with the contractor, presumably like to do an install, and Baxter can bless it one last time too.
Right.
Well, how many are valves total on there? We're doing 7.
It's total 14, but there are other 7 on higher elevated areas that, personally myself, as a professional opinion, don't request that we need to have those.
Okay.
Right.
I would think it's cheaper to do it all together once we have this space going forward than the piecemeal, because remember the underground?
Yeah, we talked about that. I thought we were going to do it all.
Well, I mean.
They're talking about 7, and they're 14.
Yeah.
So we double the price, but I hate to go through what we did with the underground and do half and then do half and whatever.
Well, we can absolutely do that.
It's up to,
I mean, Anthony
We talked about the economy of scale, bringing a contractor that wants to do it, and probably negotiating about a price point.
okay, well, Anthony,
If it's not necessary, that's another.
Well, I mean, that's Anthony, and then we've got Baxter Woodman, who is, identified the, There's nothing wrong with getting a quote on 14 of them, right?
Not a problem.
Well, the other valves that are at the higher part of town, those are still the old valves, right?
Yeah, I don't believe there's any valves in there.
Correct.
Yeah, some of them are new.
Yeah,
We'll get the quote for 14.
yeah, under all in, then.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I would just get it all, you get around working on the numbers.
Yeah, and that's a very good point.
It's cheaper when you have people mobilized to go forward and doing it piecemeal, I think.
Yeah, so let's get the number.
Any other questions on the other floor, Okay, and this is really all I have to report is, commission comfortable, doing this assessment?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Mayor?
Yes. We've got a question first from,
Good morning, everybody.
hold on a minute, Paul.
Can you hear me okay? I hope you can hear me. My hearing is so bad. I wanted to bring together the discussion on the CIP and the proposed amendment to the town's comprehensive plan. It's really a question. Town manager, when we have Baxter Woodman, Rebecca Travis look at the drainage issues that we've been discussing, I assume it'll be in the context of this amendment to our comprehensive plan that states we're going to include development, redevelopment principles, strategies, engineering solutions that reduce the flood risk in coastal areas, et cetera, so that we are actually applying our amendment to the town's comprehensive plans, that we have some record of, for lack of a better term, compliance with this change.
Yes, I mean, to answer your question, yes, I mean, I believe that they go hand in hand. Really, all these amendments that are in the existing kinds of land use development plan are really related to applicants that are coming in for any kind of construction project. But, I mean, the same rules should apply to the town. And so I really think that what we're doing kind of is going hand in hand with the comments and the requirements in our land use development plan.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, I'd like to make another observation, and really to compliment the town manager and Rebecca. Rebecca has updated our 10-year CIP plan, financial plan, and as you know, it's a dynamic process, and Rebecca has been great on staying on top of any changes, additions, deletions. So at any point in time, we know what we're spending, and more particularly, we know we have the money to spend. And the good news is, even after we're now showing 15 million plus in dollars spent over time, and we're still going to have a reasonably strong fund balance at the end of that. So it's great to make these improvements and still be in good financial condition.
Absolutely. And I will say, I would agree with that. And I mean, the numbers continue to look good for us. But Rebecca, every time she comes in the office, she's got this frown on her face. Smile every once in a while.
I think she's nervous spending.
That's a good thing.
Thank you, Paul. Don had asked a question on Anthony.
If I remember correctly from our conversation yesterday, he's saying it's probably 10 years, but he said he's gonna find out for sure, but I'm not positive. But I think that answers it, so I will know exactly what we're spending money for.
Speaking in conjunction too with what you're saying with valves that don't need to be replaced, with a short life expectancy, that maybe if we change them, if it's bunch of changing them now,
I believe it was 20, but it might be 10. I'm not 100% positive. I don't want to give you the wrong information out of month or two.
But according to this diagram too, there are not many, most of them, they indicate to be short term, you know. So the long term one is, are very few, and then might as well do the whole thing.
That's a very good point.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, let's move on. The ARPB meeting is scheduled for January 28th this month at 8:30.
Yes, I'm sorry. You want to say anything about the
Yeah, sure. Let's be very brief. Let's just add that then as item 5 under reports. Report on current status of our health and vaccination.
Okay, so this past Wednesday, like we've done for the last 9 months now, we just had a try on and participated in a conference call with the Florida Department of Health, the EOC, Palm Beach County, and all 39 cities. And we used to meet or do this every day. Now it's once a week. We're probably going to add, it'll be good because we have a vaccine issue. Probably going to be adding conference calls. It's a very fluid issue. And so I'm sure you all saw on the news, town of Palm Beach. The town of Palm Beach is distributing vaccines to their residents. Well, that wasn't really supposed to happen, as the director of the health department explained on our conference call. Palm Beach is getting all this, tug on it, and but it wasn't really even supposed to happen. There's a long reason why. Not blaming anybody, but so we've got inquiries, from people on what's Gulfstream going to do. So initially, Mr. Nazar and I talked to the administrator for the Palm Beach County League of Cities, and we initially thought, well, maybe Gulfstream, Ocean Ridge, and Highland Beach could together could have create a distribution point like Palm Beach that would be limited to just the residents. Problem is, we don't have the resources, we don't have the people that can administer the vaccines, but we don't have the space. None of the towns do. And so, as it turns out, we obviously, as you know, we're part of the service area for the Delray Beach Fire Department, and so is Highland Beach. These distributions, if you see on the news, the town of Palm Beach, it's their fire department that is managing that. They already have something set up for the 2009 swine flu, so they've already got experience doing this distribution pods. And so in that meeting, Delray Beach spoke up and asked about, Gulfstream and Highland Beach are in our service area, and so we will be working with Delray Beach and Highland Beach to develop a distribution pod that would include just Gulfstream, Highland Beach, and Delray Beach residents. And so we're working on that as we speak. Delray is really in charge of it. They're working with this Catholic church, I guess, in Highland Beach, as a point for the Gulfstream residents in Highland Beach to go to, rather than have to try to navigate going to the Station 1, which is on Atlantic, and very busy street, and the parking's not as easy, but that's where Delray would probably do most of their vaccinations. So we're working on that right now. So as of Wednesday, there was no vaccine. Now, I don't know, you may have heard stories about hospitals, whatever. None of that was discussed in our conference call. And the health department did not know about any hospitals and vaccine amounts that any of them might have. So, again, it's fluid. There may be information out there that's true, maybe not true. But I did hear this morning that the governor's trying to get 250,000 vaccines distributed next week throughout the state of Florida.
And we'll let our residents know.
Yeah, we will
Fill in as pot is established and the procedures and protocols.
we'll distribute that out to our residents.
Very good. Okay, the financial report.
Yes, you have it in your packet. You may see some that some costs are already at 100%. That's because there's like one-time payments at the beginning of the year, so that's not unusual. So I didn't see anything unusual about the report at this point in time.
Questions on finance or water report? Okay, very good. Chief?
We will accept the activity report, we accept it as submitted, and I don't have any additions this month.
Okay, that's submitted. Let's move on then to the ordinance again, ordinance 20/6, that has been submitted to us for consideration by the local planning agency. Questions? Ms. Sarah.
Ordinance 20/6. An ordinance to town commission, the town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the coastal management element of the town's adopted comprehensive plan as set forth herein and attached hereto, providing for severability, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date presented on first reading this 8th day of January 2021.
Ordinance 20/6 has been presented to us on first reading. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 20/6.
Ms. Sarah.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner Ortwein. Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Thank you very much. Anything else? Any comments by the commission?
No, but just put there was a really nice banner in this box in Ocean Village. It's a nice article. Did you see that? It was very cute.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it was really nice.
If nothing, huh?
I'm going to please come from the homeowners association, landscape for our good development. I don't know if that comes to the ARPD or if it's been presented to the town.
I'm sorry, you received the landscape plan?
Right.
Okay, well, the status of that is well, we have an ARPG meeting that's probably not going to be, make the January ARPG meeting, correct?
That's correct. So there was an application that was submitted. It was advertised to be on the December Architectural Review and Planning Board meeting. We did hear that to defer it to the next meeting. The day before that meeting was held, the property at 2900 was actually incorporated into that development. So that's one of the reasons why we're having to send it back to our planners and defer that, and looks like it may be deferred again to February, just because that submission was done so late. In talking to Mr. Gliskin, I said we do have a deadline for submittals to be heard at a certain agenda date. The issue is this is very comprehensive. It's not just a single family home. This takes a lot more work. Our planners need to look at it. Staff, engineers, and other. So he understood that. I know that we're working on it diligently. So at this point, it looks like it will be on the February Architectural Review and Planning Board meeting, and then potentially to be heard by the commission in March. So that would be the track that we're looking at right now, in speaking with our planners. So that has been submitted, it's finalized, and there's ARPD members were very interested in it and wanted to maybe come by our hall and take a look at the application materials, because it is very comprehensive. So we're making sure that we work through that as quickly as possible. while making sure that we do our best.
And also, and the updates on the water, backflow.
And, yes, so I'll hand it over to Anthony.
Yes, ma'am. I did a pressure test on the system yesterday. It passed. Everything was good. He's hoping to have it all completed today, so I can do a final check on it, so then I can go ahead and sign off and have everything taken care of as far as backfilling and getting everything back to normal again in the entrance, so that we can have it re-access. So we're hoping today it'll be done.
Thank you.
Also, we're going to be putting a new street light there at the intersection of Orchid and Alley Lafayette.
Good. Anything else? If not, meeting's adjourned.
Good job.
Thank you.
I could have played tennis.
Did you hear?
What did that mean? I know. Oh, well. We'll tell you tomorrow. Oh,